thrilled to be here on May 1st, and I'm so thrilled that there is a national day actually recognizing High Potassium Awareness Day because I think it's very important for all of us. As it was said earlier, many of us have, if it's not us, we have friends and family members. And since I'm in food and I've studied nutrition, I mean, this is my right up my alley. I've been a plant-based chef for over 20 years. I started in the kitchen at 8, and my dad's a chef, and I swore I'd never be a chef because I just felt, I'm not getting allowance. I don't know why I have to work this hard as he works, but never say never. We learned that in life. So sometimes people will say to me, oh, I could never go vegan or I could never go plant-based. And again, I say never, because I came into a vegan diet and lifestyle through bodybuilding, and my body just stopped wanting. If we really listen to our bodies are telling us what it wants and what we need. And I find, as an advocate of whole plant-based foods, the more we listen to our body, the more we eat whole plant-based foods, more than ultra, I'm going to say, processed foods, because all things are processed to a degree. Even working with these chickpeas, if I make a hummus, I've processed it from, it's still whole food and it doesn't have a lot of added ingredients, and we call it scratch in the kitchen, in the commercial kitchen, but we have to be mindful. And Anna Marie is going to join me. Anna Marie, you can't get away that fast. I want you to come back with me because I really want to serve this. I think, we're so technologically advanced. Why can't I be able to make this salad for you and Jerome and everyone else tuning in? I know we're going to get there, and I hope we get smell-o-vision also, because all of these ingredients I'm working with, I mean, I get hungry, and people think in the kitchen you eat all day, but there's something going on in our brain and our sense that you're smelling all these foods. So I think in the limbic system, it must say you're satiated because there's not a scarcity of food. So my focus, and Anna Marie, I know you're going to also help field questions. And if anything comes through, I know we've presented before, and it's such a symbiotic work, and you presented so much great information, things that I know and don't know, but I think we have to constantly be aware of it and mindful of it. And this is a great day, since it's High Potassium Awareness Day, to really take some notes. I also know that the audience, our guests, welcome again, received the recipe. I am making today the basmati. I'm in California, so I'm going to say basmati spring summer salad, because we have seasons, but we can subtly go from spring into summer, and it's just a beautiful salad. And as Anna Maria said before, that the AAKP website, and I focus in on recipes, I went right there first, has such an abundance of recipes that you can choose from. I would challenge Anna Maria, our guest, to look at the recipes in a seasonal manner, because when we are able to eat more local and more seasonal, to the best of our ability, I understand, to the best of our ability. I just went to our farmers market here in Sacramento on Sunday, and there was just, you just don't see the same produce, even in our best stores. It's just not there. You get to build relationships with the farmers, you get to support local, but we know from a nutritional point, the foods we eat, especially, I'm focusing on plant-based, right? So vegetables and fruits and nuts and legumes and seeds and grains, those things that we can get local and in season are just going to be that much more nutrient available and nutrient dense. A tomato in winter tastes nothing like a tomato in the summer. And I know Anna Marie already told us to be careful about that juicy tomato that is a fruit, and we just want to bite into it when it's really at its highest. But with regards to that, I'm going to reiterate these things because I know that Whole Foods, while I work in a commercial kitchen, and we are what we call a scratch kitchen, we are a Whole Foods kitchen. I've worked extensively with Blue Zones, which promotes a Mediterranean diet and longevity. When we know these things, we can just make better choices. I also write an article, a column about, what's on the ingredient label and identifying that. This salad that we're making today, and I say we because I don't do anything alone, even though I might be the one pouring everything in the bowl. This salad is going to serve four. So what you're looking at, if you have the recipe up, it's going to make a servings of four. So we talk about portions because I can sit down with a whole big bowl of a salad that is meant for four. And if I'm not careful, I might eat the whole thing. So portion control, portion mindfulness, let's say that. Because control is kind of, it's like, oh, I've got to resist or I don't get to have. So I think our choice and use of words is very important. So I'm going to say portion mindfulness. This should make four servings of salad, and each serving would contain, since we're talking about High Potassium Awareness Day, 397 milligrams of potassium. So we already know, Anna Marie, what you shared with us, we're in a safe space. This is a friendly kidney salad. This is a delicious kidney salad. Maybe we should just call it the kidney salad. And that, I don't know, I'm a marketer, so I play with words. But let's get into this and see where we go. One thing I like to say about cooking, because some of you may be tuning in and go, I don't cook. I don't like to cook. I don't know how to cook. And this is the salad you can start with. You can dip your foot in the water, and I promise you, you'll be safe. But one of the things I find when I'm helping people come or feel more comfortable with cooking, it's not like you're going to get a grade. You're not going to get an A or F. You're not being tested here. This is just for our health and our mindfulness, is that you get all of your ingredients pulled. So I always say, look at the recipe, especially when it's the first time making it. So we want to look at the Basmati Summer Salad recipe and read it all the way through. Take a look at it all the way through. Some things I noticed, fresh coriander leaves. And you're like, I've never seen that. Well, coriander leaves and cilantro leaves are the same thing. So you can mark a note there. You always see cilantro in your store. Coriander usually is referring to the seed. And if there are certain percentage of people that cilantro has this kind of, once they bite into it, the chemical action in the mouth can make it taste soapy. So I find if people don't like cilantro, I can effectively like put a little coriander seasoning in the dressing if you do want that flavor, or you could go to a mint. So if you're looking at this recipe, I'm going to walk us through, have all your ingredients already pulled. So if you don't have cucumber, maybe you'll do zucchini. If you see it safe on our list. The other thing I want to say about adopting a more abundant plant-based diet, plant-focused, plant-strong, is chewing. And I think we miss this point. Chewing is essential, because if you don't properly chew, if we don't properly chew our food, most of the time, because of the fiber, the insoluble and the soluble, well, insoluble fiber, it can cause us to feel a little bloated. It can, because it's really trying to work, it's magic. And if we've had a diet or we've eaten certain ways, it might feel uncomfortable as this food is trying to really cleanse and regenerate our body. I'll be careful with my words, but it is in fact scientifically how it works. So I want you to think about, if you make, and I hope you make this salad. I really hope you're like, by the end of this, inspired to get into this salad, because it's a good one. It's a hearty one. It will hold. So I can make the whole salad, and I can't get it to Jerome or Anna Marie, but I can have this for 4 days, and I can have it as its own. I can have it with maybe as a side salad with what else I'm eating. So as Anna Marie said earlier, you never get bored. But our first ingredients are going to be chickpeas. In the kitchen, in the commercial kitchen, we soak all of our legumes overnight to release the phytic acid, to help them swell, so that it is going to already be more digestible. If I can't run out into the, cafe hall where people are sitting and say, chew, 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 nobody wants the chef chasing you about chewing. But I do want to put that in your mind as mindfulness. So we're going to start with our chickpeas. I did for the purposes of this demonstration because I like to meet people where they are. You're going to either get your environmentally more friendly packaging or a can of chickpeas. It calls in the recipe for 15.5 ounces. You want to drain and rinse. So you're going to take it out of the fluid. I want to look for no salt added. And more companies are doing that, but look for it. It could say low salt. We want no salt. So it's available, but pay attention to that. And then I just put it in a strainer and I'm going to pour that liquid out, which is called aqua faba because it's bean water. And in the plant-based world, we'll use aqua faba as an egg replacer to bake with. And so it has that same consistency. We can whip it up with peaks. It can do meringues. I'll digress because we're talking about a salad right now, and I don't want everybody to get a sweet tooth.
But this is great information because we don't think of that. This is something that so many people don't realize, and they don't consider the vitality behind the bean. It's wonderful. I want to point out something too.
Really, and it's really magic. So you can use that. You would just save the bean water, as we said, but you do want it to be no salt, right? And I'll put it in the refrigerator. And I specialized in culinary school in vegan and raw vegan desserts. I figured if I serve people desserts, no one would ask me where the beef was or where's the protein. And it usually works. So I'm going to keep going here because I get quite excited about food, making it and eating it. So I'm just going to pour my chickpeas in the bowl. And then the salad calls for cucumbers. This is a cup of cucumbers. And we know that all the ingredients in this salad are kidney friendly and delicious. I'm going to toss that together. And then I've taken celery. In this 1 cup, it was about 2 ribs of celery. And the cucumber I like to get the mini cucumbers. So it was to make 1 cup, it was about 2 cucumbers. Because when they say a cup of cucumbers, I know people always go, well, how much is that? And if you get a huge cucumber, you're going to probably get 2 cups. So you want to be mindful of not wasting and not cutting it all up. I'll cut it in half and see how much that makes. And then I can use the other half of the cucumber, if it's a large cucumber, to make slices and do things differently. Because the other thing that matters with plant-based food, it's all about the cut. If I cut dices versus slices versus grating, it's all going to have a different mouth feel. And I learned this in school. And so I know how to also change up, even if you're eating, you like something, I'm going to say, what do you like? And if you like certain things, I'm going to teach you how to cut it differently. That's going to offer you a different mouthfeel and not seem boring, right? That's the key. I don't like to be boring. When I was little, I used to go to my mom and say, I'm bored. And she'd go, you're boring. Go find something to do. So I have this whole feeling about, I don't ever want to be called boring. Thank you, Mom. The other thing, you've got a 1/2 cup of red onions. In the recipe, it called for it to be minced, but I love red onions. And I don't recommend this, I could almost eat them like a fruit. I'll just take, the slices of red onions and eat them. It's sweet. They're sweeter than white or yellow, but this is a 1/2 cup. So far we've used 15.5 ounces of the chickpeas, 1 cup of cucumbers, 1 cup of celery, and a 1/2 cup of the red onions. And then, so I wanted to have the slices because I want the crunch of it, and I want it to stand on its own versus mincing it. But if you don't like onion so much, mincing it will lessen the mouth feel in your mouth. Again, going back to the cut matters. So that can be something you can do. And then I've just taken, as the recipe called for, mandarin oranges. And what I did with them, I supremed them. So I took off the pith on each side. This is what we do in the restaurant because it just has a different mouthfeel. And we're going to just put that in our salad. So you can see, if I'm not talking so much, it's very easy to put this salad together in a matter of minutes. And then I've got my basmati rice. So I pre-cook my basmati rice. I don't buy the pre-cooked. I really try to minimize, again, where you can, as much packaged food. So even if you're
Mhm.
buying packaged food, look for as whole food of a packaged food as you can. Somebody can say they're vegan and be a junk food eater, and high
Mhm.
potassium and high sodium. And so we want to pay attention to the label and the ingredients. I mean, potato chips typically, if they don't have powdered milk and all the seasoning on top, would be vegan. Oreos are said to be vegan, but that doesn't mean we should eat a whole package because it's
Mhm.
vegan. So, vegan
Right.
labels, I think I really stress this because people think, oh, I'll just eat, I don't know, spaghetti my whole life. You have to have a rainbow of food. And this diet
Mhm.
also offers, with the rice, I washed it. And I know there's a lot of debate out there whether you need to wash your rice or not wash your rice. Okay, I'm telling you, I'm setting the record straight. Wash your rice,
That was
especially
going to
in a
be my
salad.
question, Nina. I was going to ask you that. Do you like to wash your rice before prepping? So I'm glad you perked that.
And I'll tell you why. I mean, when we buy food, it sits on the shelf a while, unless you're getting it straight
Mhm.
from the farmer, from the rice farm, and then the drying and processing of it. Dust will occur. I mean, it's traveling. How far is it traveling? There
Mhm.
are some studies, a few, not a lot, that have shown by washing the rice can help remove some of the arsenic if people are concerned about that. Not totally, but why not if it doesn't hurt? So I wash the rice. The main thing about this, if you want a sticky rice, you don't want to wash it as much, but you want to wash it. You want to, like with our legumes, just make sure there's no sand or debris that
Mhm.
could be in this because it is food, right? Or
Right.
anything else. I won't go there, but anything else that could be in it. But the
Mhm.
main thing with a rice that you want to use in a salad, you want to help remove the starch because the starch is what keeps the rice sticky. And with regards to this, I've been able to cook it and then I've just fork flaked it so the rice falls apart. And that's what we really want to make sure, because you don't want, it's not trying to make a sticky rice recipe here.
Mhm.
So you can
Mhm.
see how easily it calls for coriander, right? But we are speaking about, excuse me, we are speaking about cilantro,
Mhm.
and you can use fresh coriander. So I'm going to just take the fresh leaves. I'm going to keep some to garnish. You can tear
It's
if
so
it calls for
easy
tear.
to grow. It's so easy to
Yes,
grow too.
yes,
Herbs are
yes.
so easy
If
to grow. You can just put them in little pots outside your door or in a sunny spot in the house. I grow herbs in the most little crevices wherever I can put a little pot. So it's so helpful to have those handy.
Yes, and there's even, as you know, Anna Marie, herb grow kits where all you have to do is, just
Yeah.
the pots are already there, the seeds are already there. I mean, some people say they don't have a green thumb, but you will have one. I just want to check in where we're at. Is everyone okay? Are we okay here? Is this interesting to you? I mean,
Yeah,
it's
you know what?
important.
There's 2 points I wanna share because it's really important too when you were talking about, rinsing the beans and, I wanna point out that chickpeas are one of the lowest potassium beans that we can use in our diet if we have kidney disease. So this is a very safe bean to incorporate in our food, in our meal. And also when we rinse the food, so we want to drain the fluid off anytime we're using a processed food or a canned food, or even if it's lightly, we want to drain the fluid off because the longer it soaks, the more minerals will actually leach into the fluid. So by draining that off, you're going to get rid of some of the potassium that way too. So it's a win-win. Hmm.
Right. And that's pointed out on the recipe. Anna Marie, do you
Yeah,
think that it says in the recipe 12 hours? I think if you're not getting legumes with salt or any of that, it's a cleaner, if you will, if you're not cooking them from scratch. So, someone might be
right.
turned off. Oh, I have to soak them 12 hours. But then I would say soak them overnight if you want to, totally follow it. But
Yes.
what's your thought on that?
It really
So
does come down to individualization. It really comes down to what people want to do. How do they want to prepare their food? What do they have time for? Do they like cooking? Some persons may not like to cook, and taking that readily available might be easier. I know for some people on dialysis days are so very tiresome, and all some people can do is just sleep afterwards. So to think about food preparation sometimes can be overwhelming. So having something that's
sure.
quick and readily available might just be the trick. So again, it
Okay,
really comes down to what is going to work best for the individual.
sure. But as we've
Hmm.
both said, if you're not going to soak them as the recipe offers you to do, rinse, rinse and
Yeah.
drain. At least don't
Yep.
just go from the container. I never do that anyway for anyone. You just want to get
Yeah.
that off. So I don't know
It's
if you
really
can see just
safest. Oh, it's
yes.
beautiful. Oh,
Salad and
those.
tossed it. Look at how beautiful and colorful that is. You've got your red, your orange, your uh, green. We have green. And then we're going to make a
It's
quick dressing. And
beautiful.
go ahead. And the dressing is with lime juice. So citrus really helps when you're also trying to lower salt content, but because citrus, whether it's lemon or lime, brightens everything. So often, I when I'm working with people that are trying to lower certain things, lime will be the trick, or lemon will be the trick, or a blend together. So that's calling for the recipe 1 tablespoon of lime juice, and then we have 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. I'm really into good olive oils, and I'm just going to whisk that. So now we have 2 tablespoons. That's going to dress, as I say. I think people, saturate and drown their salads typically with dressing. We need to be mindful of our dressing. If you look on the back of the label with most dressings, it says 1 tablespoon, and sometimes people have used a quarter of the bottle on just one salad. So I'm just going to drizzle this around. It says also in the recipe to add the fresh black ground pepper. I always like grinding it fresh and adding it afterwards so it doesn't get coated by the oil. I mean, it's okay, but I really like black pepper. So I'm just going to use some black pepper, fresh ground, and then you can really control how much you like. Because when I go to a restaurant and they say when, they just keep moving their arms looking up at me like, when are you going to say when, lady? And I'm like, keep going. And then again, we have, and I wish you could just smell it, everyone,
Oh,
Jerome and
I
Marie
feel like I
and our
can.
so good. And then it calls for uh, walnuts. And my trick is always taking walnuts, putting them in a skillet, turn it on medium high, let it get warm. Don't touch the skillet. Just know in about 3, 4 minutes, it's enough. And just toss your walnuts in there and shake the skillet, because by roasting them, you're going to bring up all this umami, which is just going to be even, and when people are transitioning from a meat centric diet to a plant based diet, a lot of what they're craving and missing is the umami that's rich in the meat that doesn't have fiber. But nuts and seeds and so many plant based things have umami. Sometimes we just have to bring more of it up. This recipe is calling for 1/2 cup of walnuts. So I say to you, choose gingerly and add more as you like, because it's a crunch factor. And by toasting, it's even more crunch factor and more satiating. It tastes more, I'm going to use the term meaty, when you have all these beautiful vegetables to work with. And then I'm just going to use, I know for our purposes, spinach and kale can be recommended more as a kidney friendly leafy green, but you can also get
Kale.
microgreens. I just got these from the farmers market, and like kale microgreens. And while they are more
Ooh,
nutrient dense, some say as much as 40% more nutrient dense than the actual, let's say, adult kale, they have been shown in a couple of studies I found to be lower in potassium. And they're crunchy, they're very delicate,
Oh,
but they bring a lot of flavor and then just that much more nutrient density. So,
oh,
and you
wow.
have lemon zest, lime zest. We're going to talk. So, this is a zester. And I'm just going to, sometimes you see people do it, like this. So I'm just going to, again, we've got lime juice, and now we're using that lime zest. It calls for a half a teaspoon, right? Yeah. But you go where you like. I mean, try it out. But it just gives you a lot of flavor, a lot of depth for your salad. And again, I can't express how
Oh,
beautiful this salad looks. But if you can see it, I can't wait for
it's
lunch. I'm
gorgeous.
sorry.
It is gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful.
And
Hmm.
delicious. And delicious. There are over 20,000 edible plants in our world. So, about 90% of that, I mean, 20% of that represents 90 percent of what we're getting in our store. So I challenge you with the list that Anna Marie shared with you to try to get more of those fruits and vegetables that you're not used to trying. Eat in season, eat as local when it's possible to do, and to also look at the packaged good, go for less processed. And I hope you
Yeah.
enjoyed this.